following is a presentation of MRE Uno, Division 1.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the continuation of Jackpot June. T4 here for the 2025 MRE Uno tournament as we enter into the Diamonds region here for the first of 3 streams on the MRE Uno YouTube channel. Today it's a little 4-card draw versus 5-card stud as it's a 4v5 classic here in the round of 32, the Tilt 32, in preparation to see who's going to move on to the Straight 16. On one side, we've got Vapor. On the other side, we've got Acosta. And according to what we've had here for the CPU prediction, this one could be a very, very crucial game in this round of 32. Take a look at the tail of the tape. The resumes coming into this one. Pretty similar so far here in the round of 64. A 4-2 victory for Acosta. Vapor getting taken to the limit and winning in a best of 7. Pretty similar records, around 500 average in the round of 32 for their careers. And as you see, the CPU prediction says we're possibly going to go into a 7th game here in this one, which would be no stranger to Vapor as we take a look at the bracket and how these two got to this point. You've got on one side there with Vapor. I've got a problem here with the graphic. You can see it a little bit here. I don't know why it's cut off. But you got Vapor, who is in a best of 7, able to defeat Jenna. And then on the other side, Acosta, able to defeat... Who even was it? Because I can't even see the graphic there. It was Andreas Allen in a 4-2 victory. Both these individuals now getting ready to find out who is going to move on to the Straight 16 to face off against either Monkey or Cody Lamas. That's going to be a streamed game later on tonight to cap off this Tuesday. Looking ahead at that said schedule, we mentioned about that we've got the Monkey Cody Lamas at 8:30. Before that, at 6 o'clock, we've got Julio Cesar and Drip. They'll be at 6 o'clock in the club region, and then a non-streamed game is we'll have another Diamond region matchup at 4:15 later on this afternoon as G-Man will take on the rookie in Goldie. We'll head on down here to the table. I'm Seth Cole, being joined here on commentary by DJ Curtis. We've got Yoshi as our referee, and DJ, a classic 4v5 matchup here in this one. Whenever we end up seeing those seed numbers really close together, you kind of settle in and expect to see something that's going to maybe draw out to that final game 7.
Oh, for sure. Both of them with so much experience, a lot on the table for a reason, with it being, tournament style. Hopefully we get this to a game 7. And those kind of games are, it's going to be absolutely cinematic, though. Power play in the makes, basically. It's just a matter of what you do with it, whether you use it offensively or defensively, though. I expect a lot of color changes also coming in, so we'll just see the general behavior of both these players here tonight. And I know Acosta's already dealing with a lot of things on his plate right now with the noting in the earlier chat, right? The AC issues going on, so might be juggling two things at once.
maybe a little added distraction there for him, but we'll see how this one's going to play out. We've got Vapor that's in our VC. We understand that Acosta is going to be keeping track of the stream, so he will be answering our verbal questions through text chat with what we ask him here on the stream. So we'll give him a little bit of extra time here by asking him first the question. Acosta obviously coming into this one, you got a little bit of added distraction though, but pretty handy victory back there in that round of 64 over Andreas Allen. Now coming in here against Vapor, it starts getting tougher and tougher as we draw into the round of 32, the round of 16. You got a 1-1 record in the round of 32 in your career here. What kind of a mindset do you have when you're going up somebody like Vapor here in this one today? And also, we've got something special that's going to be coming up here that we'll talk about when we get to game number 2. As we wait for Vapor's answer, or not Vapor, I'm sorry, make correction, for Acosta's answer here, we'll ask Vapor. Coming into this one, Vapor, you've already been taken to the limit back in that round of 64. We're able to take the best of 7 in a crucial game 7 against Jenna. How has that prepared you here for today's matchup?
And I'm
You're selling me?
one moment. Talking right now. You might just keep it down, please. Yeah, that game 7 was intense. I'm telling you, if that was a streamed game, this place would have been off its rocker. Everyone would have been going insane. And yeah, it was heart-pumping finish for sure. I think that prepared me in the way of just never give up, because sometimes the first few hands won't go your way, but like I said yesterday, it can just flip on its head in an instant. So I think it's taught me to just keep my head down and win the games that I need to, win the elimination games, and just stay focused on the task at hand, which is to get the job done.
It's something that's going to be interesting to follow here as well, DJ. Kind of going back to this weekend of matchups here in the round of 32. Covered a few matchups on Saturday, a couple here yesterday as well. We talk about it all the time. The level of competition, the level of experience here in D1 is so narrow. Anybody on any given day can win a series against anybody else. Doesn't matter what the seeding number is going in. The big crucial thing that we've seen that has been the biggest difference maker has been this bot. Depending on what it gives you, you have to kind of work with the cards you've got available. For some, it falls into their comfort zone, but for others, they have to kind of call an audible and have to change their strategy up a little bit, maybe a little bit something that they're not as comfortable with in terms of their style of play.
Oh, for sure. And sometimes, there's some games you're going to have a generally good set, but for those that don't really have the best set, though, yeah, you have to kind of spice it up a little bit, right? Add some new things or new ingredients to solve the puzzle. Might have to play a little bit more aggressive. Maybe at some points you might have to back off. Maybe use a lot of ammunition control, or more or less just be disciplined in how you play. And like you said, right, the parity is such a big thing in Uno. That's what makes it so lovely. Like you said, anybody can win. And the classic saying, any given Sunday, but change the day to like literally any other day of the week, essentially speaking. But we love to see different kinds of players step up to the plate, see who's clutch, maybe some that just aren't able to really quite close the deal. But, this should be a good game in our hands, hopefully, like I said. So to add a little comedic timing to it. But yeah, I expect a lot of differing changes. Let's see. We'll just have to see depending on what number of cards they start out with.
And we have Asim saying, looking forward to playing Vapor. Good competitor. Expect nothing less from Vapor. And I know today, so he preempted me. Says he knows today makes 100 starts in his career as well. It's cool to be up this high with a lot of positive things happening lately. So, yep, as he said there, at the start of game 2, it will be his 100th career start here in D1 of the MRE Uno tournament. So congratulations to him, as he'll be hitting that historic landmark, and we'll have some career statistics when we get to the conclusion of the first game. But we got to put that game in the books. We got to find out how we're kicking this series off. Being the highest seed, Vapor has the first 2 homestands. And to answer that question, DJ, where do we begin this? Let's find out. Vapor, what are we going for here? Floor is completely open. How do we kick this series off? There's the answer. 1 down from a full send, 14 card start to kick off this series.
Yep, we're just going to have to see what card is going to start out first. It's going to start out with a yellow 1. So I would think everybody's got at least every color of the rainbow, the Uno rainbow more or less. Though let's just see what Vapor's got up to play.
And immediately the light switch off of the initial yellow into green. We've seen that I don't know how many times in the last 72 hours. Nobody seems to ever want to start with whatever the starting color is. They want to swap off it either on the first or second turn.
What do you think is the reasoning behind that? What reason to change the colors so early on, if I don't mind asking you?
I think there's 2 reasons. Number 1, you're searching. You're searching for that one color maybe that the other side is out of, so that way you're able to gain an advantage that way. But I think another reason too is we're starting in yellow. Okay, well you don't necessarily want to drain out your yellow all the ways, because then, you're leaving yourself susceptible for the other side to come back to that. You're fading off of yellow, saying, we'll come back to that here. I'm not going to let you know how many yellow I have. Maybe I don't have any yellow, but I'm not going to give you that information. Let's swap over to another color. We'll come to it later.
Looks like they're all going to roll with the greens here, rolling with the money early on. Acosta did a ditto early on, but it's just the numbers game. As now we have a switch to red, a red 8 to be exact from Vapor's side.
Vapor aggressive with the light switching here in the early going. Had the initial swap off of yellow to green. Now the green to the red. We'll see what Acosta does here. Does he follow into said color, or does he maybe try to draw us back to green? Does he maybe light switch into a different color himself? He'll go 1 down.
Yeah, just got to roll with the flow, go with the flow, as they say, right? So, the other question is when the swap to blue will happen, but we haven't really quite opened Pandora's box yet, but we got 3 of the 4 colors unlocked so far in this first game.
Yeah, and I would say at this point, I think yellow could also be in the Pandora's box category, since we basically didn't run in it at all. It was just the initial card.
Was the starting card.
Yeah.
You are right.
So right now we're only running in 2 colors currently, in the red and the green. And now the question is, who gets that light switch off of red? And if there is a light switch, is that an indicator that maybe they're out of said color?
And the other thing is when they're going to use their ammunition, when those action cards will come into play. Well, both of them have a pretty good amount of cards left in the table. There is, speaking of an action card, though, red reverse followed by red 5, and well, there's me right there. But 2 card play there. Vapor with the 2 card lead right now. Acosta's turn. Ready for him to go up to bat.
Card advantage on his homestand here for Vapor with that double play. Let's see if Acosta, he'll do a little ditto there. Seeing double DJ.
Yep. It's Utopia 2.
So now let's see, after that ditto, could there be number efficiency for Vapor to get a light switch? And no, doesn't even
Triple
need
play.
Yeah, didn't even need the number efficiency. Uses the double skip to wrap around back to green.
I like that play so far, though, but the real question is, does Acosta have any +2s or any other action cards that could really decrease the gap between him and Vapor right now? Acosta's still going to roll with it as is. Still rolling with the greens right now. The real question is, does Vapor have a 4-card run?
Could he be at
Right
the close
now?
here? I mean, that was a fade when he went back to green. He had swapped off of green to red and wrapped back around, and he gets to check.
Oh, wow, yep.
Gets to
It
check.
took. I saw how long he typed. Didn't mean to interrupt you there, Seth. But I saw how long he typed. It was like, it's probably definitely screaming like a streak play right here. And yep, exactly what I thought.
So 2 things.
Big draws here.
1, he's ending this triple play on yellow. The question is he needing to finish out in yellow, or is there that one nagging blue that he has there that he's trying to get to? The second thing is he's at check, but he just double stacked +2s. That's 6 freshies that Acosta's going to be able to use to maybe, if he gets an action card, a +2, a +4, he can play that and draw him back away from the precipice of winning this first game.
Oh, for sure. And for all we know, Vapor might not have a yellow left, but you can't take that risk. I feel you have to be defensive here if you're Acosta. Gotta just have to maybe give him a +2 or a +4, some sort, just to keep the game running.
13 cards. What options does Acosta have here? Taking a while typing, you might have an answer back here.
Might have to think a little bit here.
Yeah.
I wouldn't blame him though. You gotta kind of gotta think about this. Gotta be wise with your cards.
Oh, he
Blue
brings it
5.
to blue. So here's the thing. Did Vapor need the blue? No, he did not. Looks like he needed
That
to
was a
close out in
ooh,
yellow.
that was really gutsy.
That was.
I like that. That means that's an indicator. We know that Vapor's got no blue then. If he had to draw at that, then Acosta's got a good idea of what's to come here. And now Vapor looks like he might be in a draw city right now. Maybe might do top deck at some point. We'll have to wait and see.
So that means off the initial 14 card start, 3 color hand there for Vapor. Absolutely nil in blue.
Yep, 6 card gap. Acosta's slowly shrinking it down. Minding the P's and Q's. Just getting rid of the numbers right now. I think he's saving. Looks like what I'm seeing. He's just going to save those action cards. He might have a good amount in his deck. So just got to get rid of the numbers slowly but surely. But Vapor continues to draw. Is he just drawing to get more ammunition, or does he simply not have an answer for blue?
And right now for Acosta, it's a matter of make sure you play the right numbers here so that way you don't open up the door for Vapor to possibly be able to get a light switch into another color here. Continue to establish in blue.
Green 7.
Bailout,
Back to green.
potentially. Let's see.
Let's see what Vapor bites.
Vapor drew back numerous times there. Might have gotten a green in the course of those draws. Oh, what?
Back to blue.
Is that a top deck? Did he top deck a blue
I'm wondering.
7?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe Vapor's got some blue in his belt, but you would have thought at some point back to green.
Wow, an answer
Wow.
back. Ditto play there from Hasim brings it back to green, and now Vapor says, "All right, okay, now we'll
back
run
to
in green
green.
if you insist."
I'm wondering, yeah, now it makes me wonder if Vapor still has any blue left, because if that was a top deck, ooh, he might be in trouble here if Acosta knows that, well, he's limited to a color here, so if I go to that one, unless he has literally no blues
I don't
left
think
for
he
all
has
we
blue
know.
either. I think there's no blue at all for either of them, and now Acosta's
Yeah, that might be the
iced out
case.
in green.
He's drawn. Oh,
So
it's getting interesting here, Seth.
that would be what Acosta with red and yellow. No blue, we know at least for Vapor. Not sure what if he might have gotten, some red and some yellow on the drawback potentially here. Could be pretty similar hands on both sides.
Vapor's only got 2 cards left, though, Seth, so we'll have to see what Acosta's got. No answer here. It's got to draw. They both got to draw.
Both iced out here when Vapor was down to 2. And now it's a matter of just praying for a lucky top deck. Maybe get yourself a +4.
To a red.
Okay, so a top deck there for Vapor to be able to swap with the 8 from the green to the red. Now we've opened it up again a little bit here. I would assume that Hasim's able to run in red. Kind of looked like he's a 2-color hand of red and yellow. We'll see what he elects to go with here.
And we'll see. Does he have anything in the tank there? Vapor's got a pretty good gap. 2 to a 10. So, I don't know if Acosta's really panicking right now. I wouldn't really. It's game 1. Still got a lot of game left, more or less. A lot of other games left. Let's see. He's probably having to think a little bit. Also working on the AC while we're at it, too. So, juggling 2 things at once. Double play here. Red +2 with a red 7. So Vapor's got a little more cards in his deck now. 4 to 8. Vapor's got a 4-card lead at the moment.
With that +2 at least kind of drawing Vapor back away from possibly getting to check. Vapor will hit the 0 sugar red. I almost wonder, well, No, I was gonna say a lot of times we'll see people do the +2 double play as their last two of said color. We'll see if Acosta's out in red or not, if that was one of those kind of indicators there, if he still has more red to work with, and he was just using the +2 to draw Vapor back from Uno.
That might have been the case there. That's what I think Acosta was doing there.
Oh,
Gonna go
no,
for a wild
he
here to
was out.
blue.
He was out of red. Has to use the wild to go to blue.
Yeah, age like milk, what I said.
And
No
Vapor
blue for
iced
Vapor.
out. So, I'm looking to... Hasim made the initial swap off of blue to green. Might have been a blue that he got on the draw city, though, maybe, that had him bring it back to said color. Let's see how long he runs here before he maybe gets iced out as well, and we go into another draw city.
Yep, just kind of waiting to see. Acosta's still thinking a little bit here, but the gap's shrunk. Almost even game here. If Acosta puts a card in, it should be evened out.
Pretty thin here on ammunition. A trio of +2s have been played. 2 skips, 1 reverse, and 1 wild. After a 14-card start here for this game 1. As soon as I say that, there's the ammunition
Wow.
with a quad play. The wraparound out of blue into yellow. And just like that, Acosta takes the advantage down to 2.
Shy of an Uno, though. And Vapor's just going to roll with it. What does Acosta have? Does he, those 2 cards, do they serve anything? Will they play a role here?
Is there
Does
a
he have
closeout?
anything for an Uno?
Let's see. He got it to wrap around to yellow. That seemed to be the color that he was pretty much left with. Let's see if it's just numbers that he's trying to get down to here, or does he have maybe a kill shot ammo card? Nope, it is numbers. He gets to check.
Gonna see if Vapor's got anything to sniff it out.
Nice light
Wow.
switch. Over to green. Does that ice out Acosta from getting Uno here?
Let's see. Moment of truth here. Yes, it
does.
Great move from Vapor.
Terrific play. Vapor keeps himself in. Now he establishes the color possession in the green. Let's see how long he can run with this as he now tries to get himself down towards check.
Yeah, both got 2 cards left here. Acosta has to draw. Vapor, though, now in the catbird seat. He has to draw.
Oh,
He iced himself out, but I think it was worth it, though, because it prevented Acosta essentially from pretty much icing that game, it seemed like.
we're in the summer months here. Everybody's dealing with the heat. We're all standing on the edge of the diving board and then running back. Nobody wants to jump into the pool.
Yeah, I think both of them are probably just going to do a draw city here. That's what it seems like right now.
We've yet to see a +4 emerge, and we've seen in this round of 32, the +4s have really been the difference maker. They've been really the weight that tips the scale in a lot of the back and forth matchups. Could be drawing back for one of those. We've seen some reverses, we've seen skips, we mentioned we've seen some +2s, but they've had to been used really sporadically here as well, and maybe more so, especially with the +2s more on the defensive side than on the offensive side here in game 1.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I bet that's bound to change, though. Maybe not this game, but who knows? Sometimes all it takes is just a good hand, some good draws here from Draw City. We'll just have to see. I think it's a matter of who's going to strike first.
Continuing to draw back here. Vapor now at 6 cards. Acosta at 7. If Vapor draws back, we'll be knotted at 7 each after a 14-card start. There indeed, we will be at 7 each here. Winner
Yep,
of
just
this gets,
really keeping it going.
yeah, winner of this will face off against either Monkey or Cody Lamas, and we're going to be determining that Diamonds region matchup later on tonight on stream at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
Should be a good one. It should be a really good matchup. Here we go. Little bit of a strike here. Vapor though, simplistic play, green 5.
Finds the LaPlante. So one down from the card we were stuck on here for Draw City. Let's see if that opens it up for a light switch here. No. Acosta still cannot do anything. Neither can Vapor. Can't light switch off of his own card.
Very interesting. Is Acosta still doing a bit of Draw City, though? That's the other question, though. He might have some greens. He's just waiting to strategize a little bit here. And I think Vapor might. I don't know what Vapor quite thought of with it, but probably maybe trying to have a little bit of a sniff test there just to see if he'd bite.
It's a good point because we've seen both of them so far in this first game do pretty well with their fades and might maybe have some green here they don't want to play just yet. They don't want to necessarily open up the door for the other side.
What's the highest amount of cards someone has drawn, like, total on the table?
It's somewhere in the 20s.
Do you know?
Somewhere
In
the
the
20s.
20s?
I don't
Yeah.
know exactly what the official number would be. Somewhere in the I would say somewhere in the mid 20s if I would had to guess.
All right, green 4, though. All right, Vapor's going to bite a little bit again.
Yep, found top deck luck on that one once more. Can we light switch off of a 4? We couldn't off of a 6. We couldn't off of a 5. We go one tier lower.
Maybe go lower. Maybe we pushed our luck here a little bit. Just waiting, just waiting. That's the hard part sometimes when you're a viewer or you're a commentator is that you're just wanting to see when they're going to pounce, right? That anticipation, the suspense. Let's see. Acosta's thinking. There's that light switch, like you mentioned here, Seth.
So into yellow. So we finally have broken off of green. Now the question is, how much did we draw back of each color? And how long do we stay in said colors? How much light switching do we now see between the yellow, the blues, and the reds?
Yeah, we'll just have to see. We will have to wait and see. But that color switch, though, what is Vapor going to do? How will he respond? He's thinking pretty hard on this one, though. So they're both playing a little bit of a slower pace now.
I mean, you also have to consider as well, we were in that Draw City for a pretty lengthy amount of time. A lot of ammo used in the early going of this matchup, but how much were we able to accumulate on both sides here now that we can maybe put to use, maybe put together another flurry of a run to try and get down to the end? Again, both these individuals have been at check once each in this matchup, and both have been brought back away from the brink as there is an immediate light switch off the yellow into the red here for Vapor. So now I think we're having a back and forth of trying to establish color possession.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Also, this filled up the triad of traffic lights, you know, the classic red, yellow, and green. So, looks like we got ourselves a red light here. So, that switched to a 4. Let's see if Acosta wants to change the color back. Or he just rolls with it. Or maybe just continues to draw.
If you're in the great state of Florida, it doesn't matter what color it is. They all mean go.
Yeah. What is a light?
What is that exactly? It's a nice little hanging decoration up there. Vapor iced on red. So apparently did not get a lot of red there on that Draw City. And correct me if I'm wrong, let me double check. Wasn't he? Yeah, he was the one that initiated the swap over to red.
It's very interesting. I don't know how I feel about that.
And Acosta,
Double play here. +2 and a red 6. It's going to add a little bit more, but it doesn't seem like there's another color switch. Just the color switches are going crazy right now.
So Vapor did have a fade. Faded off of yellow to red. Iced out in red, brings it back to yellow. Acosta's got the 1 card advantage right now after the double play with the +2.
Yep, a little bit of a gap, though. Too close for comfort, though. They're both pretty neck and neck right now. Costa's having to think, will he do a color switch or will he still just roll with it? I think he's just going to keep rolling with it. I feel like if you're Acosta, you just kind of roll with the colors you got. If there's another color change, you just keep at it. And speaking of, there's the blue right there. Blue 3. Does Acosta have any answer to respond back, at least in terms of the numbers game or even an action card or two?
Vapor continues to keep his foot on the gas pedal here in terms of the light switching.
Very aggressive with the color changes right now.
And I think this is just an indicator right now. We're just trying to whittle down these numbers. Just trying to get them gone. Try and maybe get down to any potential ammo cards we may have been able to squirrel away during that trip into Draw City. As now Acosta, let's see what he answers back with here in the blue. Well, might have changed his mind here on what he was going to play.
With the skip.
So at least a double play coming up here. Maybe a trip to get around to a
Maybe.
different color. Let's see. Nope.
Yeah, just
caps it
double
off.
play.
Caps it off with the Jesse Turner 5 and Vapor.
To a green. Ooh.
They were both iced out in green, remember. I think we might be going back to Draw City.
We might be indeed.
Unless you
Let's
mentioned
see.
it though. You mentioned that maybe there was one of these two that was holding green that wasn't playing it there. Let's see if Vapor faded. Was he holding green when we were in that Draw City?
Let's see. He's taking a bit though. So that's my goodness.
He held the green +2.
And then switched back to blue. He switched back to blue. Did the green +2s, did the duo. Then with the blue, triple play, 4 cards given to Acosta. Put him in a bit of a meticulous situation right now, though. Card gap, Vapor with 4.
Actually, 6
Hasim or
cards
Acosta.
to Acosta with
Oh, you're
+2
right.
stacked.
I think you would be right, yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, it'd be 4 to 12, so yeah, pretty big stack. Thank you for correcting me on that.
And let's see. So I would assume that green +2 is the only green that he had there, the only green that he held on to, because he swapped off of blue to the green wild to be able to then get rid of the green +2, bring it back to blue. So we'll see here on these 6 freshies if maybe Acosta decides to go back to green to ice Vapor out.
Or will he go
there
defensive?
It is, right on cue.
And that was with a +4 too. We haven't seen really many. I think this is the first +4 we've seen.
Only one we've had so far.
Yeah, I think so. And he's had to draw as a result as well, even with his turn. So, oof, that's tough.
So far, we've played 60 cards, and that's the first +4 we've had in this game.
It's crazy.
That's nuts.
Crazy to think about. Yeah.
So now we're knotted back up 9-9 after the stacked +2s from Vapor, the +4 from Acosta. This game has had its own little ebbs and flows on both sides.
Yeah, and just those action cards. I mean, when it came to the +2s and the +4s, again, like you said, they've been mostly kind of more defensive oriented. So let's see. Gonna switch the color over to yellow. I'm sure Acosta's got something on the plate. I mean, when you're behind a bit, but they're not behind that much now. Everything's kind of shrunk back again to evened out, to equalize more or less.
A lot of ammo cards played there to get us back up almost to double digits on both sides. I keep kind of going back to how much is still loaded up in the chamber, or do we keep using these ammo cards and then having to rely on numbers for the home stretch? There's another ammo play, double play there from Vapor, another +2. I would have to assume that would have maybe been off of the +4 that he was hit with. Otherwise, we probably would have seen that in a trips +2 play earlier on.
Exactly. Definitely from the +4, I would think.
And he ends it with a bit of a ditto play there as well with the yellow 7. This has been a rather lengthy first game here of this best of 7 series. Both really having to work here for establishing who's going to get that that final or that first blow here in this matchup.
I think they're living up to the seeds here, Seth. The
Oh,
fourth and
yeah.
the fifth seed, they're definitely living up to it for a reason. It really push comes to shove with this first game. And again, it was out of 7s, and this is only the first game. What could it be with the other few that come along after this?
I don't know.
It's gonna be interesting
May feel
to
like smooth
see.
sailing after this one.
And maybe might be a bit faster for all we know, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Might be a bit faster pace, but right now both of them are kind of playing chess in a way, game chess.
Vapor doubles up with the yellow 8 off of the 4. Keeping track of these guys and how much they've got left in their hands. There's the light switch over to blue. Vapor currently with the advantage. 5 cards to Acosta's 8. And Vapor says finally over.
Finally
Does he have
over.
a 5-card finish?
It sounds like he does.
Oh, it's got to get the space in there. There you go.
There it is.
He got it. Finally, the game comes to a close. All those ammo cards there stored, those transition cards from the double reverse to the double skip to end it out in blue. Board game. Man,
26-minute long first game.
that's nuts.
And I think both of them played really well. It's just a matter of who was like. I think they both played very similar in style, though. Vapor was very aggressive with the color switches, those light switches, like you mentioned, Seth. That was really one of the big things that stuck out to me, was him being much more aggressive than Acosta was with the light switches. And it seemed like it kind of paid off at the end, more or less, or pretty much it did pay off, if anything.
Definitely did. Again, I'll ask Acosta the question first, since he's got that little bit of delay watching the stream. Acosta, an incredible back and forth game here. Both of you down to Uno at one point in this matchup. Was it just a matter of the fact that you got some ammo cards, but you weren't able to have ammo cards allowing for chains to be able to get to the end? It was more you had to use the ammo cards defensively and then rely on numbers towards the close of these runs here as you guys started getting down into that end zone around the 3 to 5 card range. And then Vapor, I'll ask you here. I mean, you saved a lot of those transition cards there for the end, kind of squirreling them away. Was that a game-long process of keeping those skips and those reverses, or were those a lot of things that you ended up getting off of the draw cities, or were they things you got late in the game off maybe that +4 you were hit with?
Well, yeah. Off the +4, I got, as I put in chat, I missed the plus, but off the +4, I got a yellow reverse, yellow +2, yellow 8, and a blue 8, and that being able to throw that +2 really gave me that cushion that I needed near the end. And then the yellow reverse, yellow skip. I had 8 reverse skip in both blue and yellow, so I knew whatever happened, the game was over. And yeah, that was really nice to be able to have that sort of cushion. But if we go back to that first draw city, after I threw those +2s in green and yellow, that very first one right when the game started, I drew numbers for a good 5 minutes straight. I didn't have an action card for probably a solid 5 minutes. And then I drew a green +2, and I held that green +2 until the very last minute when I got into blue, and then he tossed the +4. So just being patient on the ammo was really the name of the game for this.
Yeah, with what we saw, it definitely seemed to be an indicator that really you and Acosta were having to deal with a lot of numbers. And DJ commented on how aggressive you were with the light switches. Was that more in trying to kind of search out, see if you could find a weak point in a color on the other side, or was that just a matter of trying to show a whole bunch of fades and not really indicate if there was any color that you were weak in?
Well, I was supremely confident in knowing that he was weak on green all game. That's why I felt confident in playing the green wild at around the 10:08 mark, which I'm talking my time, 12:08 mark. That's why I felt confident in the green 9 when he was at Uno. I felt really confident in him not having green for most of the game, and that really helped. Just being able to play into green whenever I needed just a moment of reprieve, and just a moment to think.
And as we wait for Acosta's answer here, he will be looking to draw this series back 1-1 after Vapor on the homestand is going to get the first game of this series. And just looking at the statistics here, I mean, as we said, a little over 26 minutes here for this first game, and you look at the ammunition that was played. A couple of wilds, fairly even on the reverses, fairly even on the skips. Maybe a little bit of an advantage there for Vapor on the +2s. But the biggest thing that stands out to me, DJ, is one wild +4, and we only saw that about maybe 3 minutes away from the conclusion of this game.
Yep, pretty much so. It's crazy to see that statistic though, and even just the wilds in general. Only one wild from each end. But you look at the color switches, right? 15 to 8 Vapor with 15, Acosta to 8. I mean, that kind of spoke for itself, more or less. But the skip's another big thing, too, with the 4 and the 2 and the +2s. Vapor had 5 to Acosta's 2.
32 combined cards self-drawn. I mean, and this is, again, this we would normally expect to see, statistics of that kind if we were at maybe a 5-card or a 6-card start. This was with a 14-card start. This was with just under a full send, and we ended up having just under a half hour here in the first game of this best of 7. Acosta says it felt well. Just did decent with the deck that I had. Don't think I could have done anything looking back, just playing with how it went. And that's what you got to do. You got to play the cards that you're given, and you got to make the decisions that you think are going to work out the best based off of what the bot gives you, whether it's on the initial draw or what we saw with the +2s, the +4s, or even into the draw city. So for Acosta, again, he'll look to draw this series back 1-1, but an important game coming up here. Game 2 of the series, but it will be the 100th career game for Hasim Acosta. Shout out to KT as he hooked me up with the career statistics for Acosta coming into this series. He's had 1 appearance in the Elite 8. He's had an appearance in the Sweet 16, sporting a 5-11 career series record and regular season record of 42 and 56. His career win percentage at a 42.86, average starting seed at 41.52, and an average finishing spot of 37.82. So, Acosta, I know you're watching here on the stream. First off, how does it feel to reach that accolade there of 100 career starts, and kind of briefly describe the adventure that you've been on getting to that point? I mean, a lot of individuals love hitting those career accolades there, DJ. 100 career starts, that's a lot of Uno that's been played, and that's a lot of experience that you're able to either sponge off of others or establish yourself, depending on what kind of an adventure you've been on.
Oh, yeah, for sure. More or less, though. Just to know you played that much Uno is an accolade of itself, I would say. Understatement of the century, I know. But, yeah, and then you kind of have that identity established, whether you've done good or maybe not so good, right? Speaking from personal experience. But, but no, like it's a big accolade to have, though. So, I mean, big ups. Big ups. I don't really have much to say regarding that because it's just it's a pure statistic, but just to know based on your record too, that's another thing. But it's cool to see.
It is indeed. If I'm not mistaken, if I kind of am doing the math here right, if somebody were to play every single maximum game of a series during the course of a tournament, I think you'd be somewhere in between 45 to 50 games. So consider the fact that 100 career games is almost running the gauntlet in 2 tournaments. That's a lot of matches to be a part of here, and of course for Hasim, going to be hitting that 100 mark here in this upcoming second game. It says 100 matches. It doesn't feel that many until you sit back and look at it. And yeah, that's the thing too. You're locked into the moment. You don't really think about the accumulation of the games that you play until all of a sudden you hit that big 100. And congratulations to Acosta on reaching that career accolade. It says, thanks, Vapor. Let's ride on to the future matches, which we will now kick off into here. Vapor goes 1-0 on his first homestand, looks to establish the possession again at home with his second home game. No 14 here, Vapor, but everything else is open. What are we going for here in the second game? And wow, we're going already to full
He's
send
going full
here.
send.
Look at that. Oh, well, I thought we were going to 15, but apparently, how many numbers is that? I want to make sure I don't look like an idiot. That's 1,515,151,515 cards. I think we would break the game if we did that.
All that to end a match in 3 minutes.
Yeah, Yoshi, don't put in that second number. I don't want to get in trouble with administration with us breaking the Discord bot. That would be fun. Yeah. Anybody got like 72 hours? They're not doing anything, so we can just run that game. Yeah. It's like one of those 24-hour live streams, but it's an Uno game.
Hey, give 24 Hours of Le Mans a good little challenge, right?
There you go. All right, we kick things off in blue. Action card to kick this off with the blue skip, but Vapor will just cap it off. It would be longer than 72 hours. I know. I'm thinking positively that maybe
72
we end up
years.
Getting, woof. I don't know if I've got that long.
Yeah, same.
We talk about Hasim hitting 100 career starts or 100 career games. We get to 72 years, I'll be hitting 100 career years.
And we just noticed here Vapor went for a color switch, and Acosta's just gonna roll with it here with a red 7. So I think we've only seen blue and red so far. Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, just gonna roll numbers game right now. Looks like.
Let's see if with a high card start this time, if there's a lot more ammo to work with than we had back during the 14 card start in game 1. It really came down to numbers at the end. We eventually went into the draw city, and then Vapor was able to find that run to close it out. Usually when we have these higher tier starts, you're searching for ammunition. You're not necessarily looking for a high accumulation of cards on the number side. You're looking for all those ammo cards, the skips, the reverses, the +2s, the wilds, the wild +4s, to be able to chain those numbers together.
Precisely. So you can get that little chain going. Get a good little card streak here. But here we go. Green 8. Color switch just like that.
Vapor continues to be aggressive with those light switches, continues to establish the possession of the colors that he wants. Looks like Acosta will follow him in green here as well.
We'll just go up a number. Vapor's going to go down to a green 6, so they're just going to roll in the money right now.
Seem looking to get down to 10. We're starting to enter into the single digits territory. Popping bottles in the ice. It's a blizzard.
Just waiting to see what Acosta's going to respond here. Still stuck at a green 6 for the prompt. Gonna go for...
Ooh,
oh, wow. Look at
trips
that.
play with the +2 in the middle, so not only establishes possession, but draws Vapor back a bit. It seemed down
what are
now
your
to
thoughts?
12, or to 8, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. I kind of interjected a bit too early, but what are your thoughts on that +2 early on, though, Seth?
I don't... Personally, myself, I don't like it just because middle portion of the game, if there's already ammo on the other side, you're maybe adding to it, because there's always the cause and effect of the return on a +2 or a +4. We normally don't see those until more towards the home stretch, the end of the game. The only thing that I would wonder here as we see Vapor run in the green 3, if we see a light switch or maybe see Acosta iced out, if that's his only +2, then maybe I do understand playing it there. Let's see, if he still has green, he still has green. So yeah, I with him still having green, I would have just double played there with the reverse. I wouldn't have played the +2 at that point because you were still even in terms of cards, and you with that double play, you would have gotten the 1 card possession advantage.
Gotcha. Admittedly, I'm not the most knowledgeable. That's why I always got to ask these kind of questions. It just kind of helps like invigorate, helps educate the audience a little bit. It's a good idea on how like the process for some of these players are. So, still rolling along with the greens right now. Though it seems they're pretty they got a surplus. Let's just say right now for the time being. But things could change in a heartbeat though. Acosta though up to bat here. But yeah, I mean, that triple play, though, very interesting to use early on, though, when you still got a good handful of cards left, though. Vapor's got 10 to Acosta's 7. So they still got a little bit of ammunition on their plate. It's just a matter of what they want to do. But Acosta's going to draw.
Yep. Iced out there on
Iced out.
green. So he did have 1 more green than I originally thought, but now iced out in said color. And I think I would have held on to the +2 as well, because now with him iced out, you could have held that +2 until absolutely necessary. If Vapor had continued to run into the green here and started getting down towards that end zone, you could have then used it defensively. But more so here as well, if he doesn't have another +2, if he draws back and finds another +2, then you've got the stack. You've got that green +2 to be able to utilize in a stack to be able to later on in the game draw Vapor back further. So yeah, I still, looking at this, I think I still would have kept that green +2, wouldn't have played it at this point. But that's the thing though too, a lot of times it comes down to timing. There'll be points where, this strategy that I'm talking about, he could end up being stuck holding on to that green +2 there at the end if Vapor is able to find some kind of a run to close it out. So hindsight's 20/20 when the game comes to a close. You can kind of in the moment maybe second guess the move, but when you look at it at the end of the game, it may end up being a move that was actually smart.
Yeah, we'll have to see. They're just all stuck in the green right now. They really love this color, it seems like. Might be their favorite
do
color
they?
in this game right now.
For the second draw city, we've been stuck in here with green, so man,
I think they love this color. Got a
no
good
love for the luck of the
feeling.
Irish. Looks like Acosta got himself a top deck there with the green 5. Let's see if Vapor can play off of that. He can.
Color switch.
Hey, DJ,
Look
thanks
at that.
for breaking this out.
Yep, no problem. It's my honor. Red 5, though. I'm sure Acosta's going to bite numbers-wise here. No, goes actually for a yellow 5.
Wow, okay.
Intriguing.
So Acosta going to get aggressive here on the light switching.
Maybe do a no you moment here. See, maybe if he's the one to try and change the tides here.
Vapor with the 0 sugar. Trying to avoid maybe a swap off of yellow, forcing Acosta to have to play a yellow here at this point.
I wonder about changing that yellow real fast, though, when you had the red. Was it a good idea? Well, I wonder what the process is. Double play, though, with the skip and a yellow 8. So I think maybe Acosta's trying to get rid of the yellow pretty fast, and that's probably what I'm thinking right now. Could be something else, though, in hand.
Might have something to be able to fade back around to the red if he still has some. Continues to run in the yellow. Now down to 3 cards. Now what does Vapor do here?
Man. 3 cards, though. I always wonder, like, when do you think is that time to be more defensive, Seth, when it comes to, like, a card count? Would you say, like, 3 cards, 4 cards even?
It's gotten
where you're like,
it's gotten
that
to the
streak.
point now, I would say 5, 6 cards because, you kind of think, hey, this is okay. We're knotted up at 6 apiece, and then all of a sudden somebody hits a 5 or 6 bagger to close it out, and it's like, wait, hold on, where did that come from? So normally the end zone always seemed to be around 3 to 5 cards. Now we start getting down around 6 to 8, and I'm getting worried for the other side of, I don't know, there could be a closeout there.
Yeah, because you always dread of the, you always worry about the dreaded card chain, right? And you get those wilds, and then you get skipped and whatnot. Those ammunition cards, right? Those action cards. That's always a thing you always have to kind of keep in your brain for a little bit here. But let's see, Acosta. It doesn't seem like he has anything ammunition wise besides that +2 he used earlier, though. Right now, it seems like yellow might be the end goal here. Vapor had to draw, though. That's huge. Does Acosta have anything else? Does he
He's
keep rolling
at
with the yellow?
2.
Or does he have anything?
I'm wondering about maybe a wild into a wild +4 into a finish with red. I'm wondering if he had that wild, if he has the wild +4. That's why he was willing to do the fade off into yellow, try and get the yellow out. No, he
A
doesn't lose the wild,
red.
but he does get to red. The number efficiency gets him to red. So he did
Let's
indeed
see.
fade off and brings
Let's
it
see,
back.
though. Let's see if Vapor's got anything defensively to try and at least prevent Acosta from icing this game. Or the other question is, does Acosta actually have a red left? It might seem like he
Vapor's
does, but you
iced
never
in
know.
Red.
Oh, no.
Is it
Let's
red
see.
to close out? No.
Yeah, I had a feeling that I had to ask that second question just to make sure. You know, just because you're an Uno does not mean you're fully guaranteed to win it for a reason.
Finds a top deck though.
And Acosta's got nothing. No answer right now. Stuck in red. Isolated in red right now. And Vapor is running the table down.
There we go.
Just doing numbers slowly but surely. Gap shrinking down to 4 cards this time around.
Trying to go for that number efficiency, not allow Acosta to light switch. And now,
He's got nothing.
Nah, still nothing. And we don't know what that card or that color was he had there at the end. Now as he draws back, probably adding more in different colors. So this is putting the advantage to Vapor now, currently being able to establish that possession, that color advantage in red. Now he'll bail out into the blue.
Let's see. Does Acosta bite? I figured he might try and get rid of a card here. Probably. I wouldn't think Acosta's got much in terms of ammunition. And he switches back to yellow.
Ooh. Interesting call there. I mean, Vapor down in that dangerous territory where he could potentially have had a run.
And he had no
blue.
yellow.
And he had
Good call.
Good play there by Acosta.
Very, very fun to watch with these color changes, Seth, here. It just seems like right as you get to a color change, they just don't have an answer for it.
Acosta now after the lengthy drawback. He's back down to 2. Vapor iced out.
Oh, but I don't know. Does Acosta have anything? No.
So it's either blue or green, because we know he was iced out in red. We now know he's iced out in yellow. I doubt it's green because, well, it could be green. We were in Draw City
Could be
green, but then we were in Draw City, well, not Draw City, but he was iced out in red, so we may have gotten some green back on that return. But now we're both iced out in the yellow, and we will go into a second Draw City here in Game 2.
Just seems like right as they get near the end, they just always end up short on both ends.
And again, you look here at this game, the ammunition, it's just not there.
I don't think they've had good luck with some action cards, it seems like, Seth.
Not at all.
I haven't really seen any wilds, like really that many wilds. I think we had that one wild.
We had 3 combined wilds back in Game 1 with 2 regular wilds and then a wild +4. We have had 0 wilds of any kind so far here in Game 2.
Absolutely nuts to think about. We've had a weird set so far where we just usually you expect some wild, some crazy wild +4 action, but we just haven't had that yet.
Yeah, who was it? Was it
just a
Acosta
lot of
that
numbers?
said in the pre-game comment, just play the cards that I'm dealt. Well, man, have they had to really work with what they've been dealt here in this game.
This feels like old school Uno, right? With just like numbers. It's just a lot of numbers.
We continue to be iced out here in the red. Looking for a top deck to break us out. Advantage still to Acosta. 6 cards to now Vapor's 12.
I think we might have to file like a missing persons report for the wild +4s and
I think
such
you're
because
right.
they just haven't shown up yet. We might have to put like a forensic investigation for all we know because they're just drawing right now. They just keep on drawing.
We need like their picture on milk cartons and everything. Have you seen this +4?
Have you seen this +4?
Have like those highway signs. Just have the scrolling letters +4 missing. Oh,
Yep.
okay. Here we go. Into blue. We have not been in blue for quite a while here in this game, so I would assume both sides are able to run at least a bit in this color. The question is, though, what is the other outlying color or colors that they've now accumulated on the drawback when we were here in red?
And surely they have some ammunition based on that draw city itself.
Well,
We'll see, though. Surely, right?
Surely.
But here we go. +2 here. Right now, double play. +2 with a 9. So Vapor does attack a little bit here. Acosta has to pick up 2 cards. And then he's only up a card right now. So at least Acosta is. Let's see. Let's see here.
So at least try to close that gap up there with the double plays, Vapor, as he's trying to gain the advantage back here on his second homestand. We'll see if Acosta has an answer back here. Maybe let's see, do we still have, what do we have in the blue? Is both the no, there's still another blue +2 out there, so does he answer back with a +2? We'll see that a lot of times, kind of an answer back for an answer back when it comes to the +2s, but no, he'll play it cool. Continues to run there in blue with the blue 3. Looking right now, and we are almost exhausted out in green. We were iced out in red, but there's still some options there. Really, it's really blue. Blue is the one that we've not been in for very long. A lot of numbers still out there on the board. Both reverses, a skip, a +2. So we may stay in blue here for a bit. The question is then who makes the break?
Who's gonna bite?
Ditto play.
He's gonna want a little bit more.
Oh, Vapor.
Another double.
Both the +2s. And
Interesting to see, yeah, that he didn't use them maybe at a later time. Maybe I don't know what he's got up his sleeve, but interesting he had 2 of those, though. I thought you do like a double stack, but maybe it was just you don't want to give him too much ammunition. For all I know, he could have given Acosta +4. I think that's really might have been.
Exactly right. I think you hit the nail right on the head. Don't give him a whole lot of ammunition there. Just kind of in little spurts.
In little chunks.
Yep.
Little chunks.
I think that's exactly what he went for there. The question is, though, with that double play, was that his last couple of blues? As I said, usually there's a bit of an indicator sometimes when you double play with a reverse or a skip or a +2 that's your final card in said color. We'll see if Acosta is able to continue to run in blue here. Is Vapor going to be iced out and have to rely on number efficiency for a color swap? Oh, he won't have to worry about that. Quad play with the double skip and the reverse brings it into red. Hold the phone.
That's big.
Wait.
That's crazy. Quad play like that.
Wait.
But a +4. A +4 from Vapor with a green 1. So this is really turning the tides. Interesting to see here. Oh, man.
So looking back here, well, I'll get to the +4 in a minute, but looking back, those 2 little +2s in blue, I don't know if those were what gave Acosta those 3 reds. If they were, then that's one thing. If they weren't, he was holding on to red when we were in that draw city with red. That's an incredible fade by Acosta.
It really is. Oh, man. Really changed up on its head, though. That +4 really, that was nuts.
And that flipped the script there as well in favor of Vapor. Now we'll see what Acosta maybe got on the return there with those 4 freshies. Again, if he ended up getting those reds on the return of the +2s, What maybe did he get here off of the +4? Let's see. Oh, he'll answer
Get
right
it
back
right
with
back.
a +4 of his own, and he'll bring it back to his own card in yellow.
Straight up middle finger back to Vapor. Vapor's just going to play it cool with a yellow 2.
It always seems to be that way, though. We always talk about, hey, we haven't seen this card for a while. We're like, hey, we have only seen 1 +4 here in this first game and a half, and all of a sudden we're hit with 2 +4s in the span of 30 seconds.
Oh, we got what we wished, right, Seth?
Yeah.
Well, they're no longer in that missing persons report because they just popped up all of a sudden thanks to that draw city. And likely even the +2s from earlier, so there they are.
Little self-ditto there from Acosta with his own card. Vapor follows suit in yellow, currently sitting with Vapor at 6, Acosta at 5, 1 card advantage possession for Acosta on the road here in game 2. Checking the scoreboard, and our first game went just under a half hour at 26 minutes and 13 seconds. We are 15 seconds away from this one crossing the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, I think y'all might need to grab some good old popcorn, maybe even grab yourself some lunch, because this could be a very, very long match in terms of endurance on both ends here, and for even the crowd, too, that are watching here tonight. But yeah, they're both stuck with the reds right now here. Well, actually, that color switch more or less. So Vapor rolled with the red too. So let's just see. We're just seeing all these action cards finally coming into play here, but it's a matter of patience too, right? Vapor mentioned patience being a big factor here in how he won. Acosta's gonna go for a wild here with the green though, and let's see what Vapor's got. And he said, "Thank you so much." That's a sign.
No. Did he just play right into what Vapor
He might have
needed?
played right into his hands.
Vapor looking for the
That
finish
might ice it.
with a 5-bagger. Kicks it off with the green +2. Puts in the final command. Gets down to check with the double skip into the reverse. Ends on the KT Wild. And for the second straight game.
Almost missed out on the call out. Acosta could have done a call out there. I almost realized that.
Yeah.
Vapor
very
almost
close.
messed up there. But if Acosta was a bit sharper on that, oh man. But usually with that stuff, when you get in that streak, you usually put the Uno at the very end, but the bot was slow, apparently. So it seemed because 4-bagger? Okay, yeah. But that was close. Still felt like a close call though, more or less.
And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe that that is the second straight game here where it was a wild initiated by Acosta that then put it in the color that Vapor needed to be able to have the closing run at the end. So we talk about timing and just poor timing there in this game too for Acosta with that wild play. Exactly what Vapor needed, and Vapor now will take a 2-0 advantage, wins both of his first homestands, and we just barely got over the 20-minute mark in this one, just a tick under 21 minutes here for game 2 is combined. We've been over 40 minutes and only 2 games in the books. Acosta, again, very similar to what we saw back in game 1. Maybe a little bit more ammunition to work with since we saw more appearances out of the +4s than we saw back in game 1. But just coming down there to the timing of the wild kind of seemed what came back to bite you. I don't know about DJ, but I've been having a real difficult time reading both the hands of the individuals here in these first 2 games. Is it also just as difficult for you as a player trying to figure out what's on the other side with you guys having all of these crossfades, these draw cities and everything, trying to figure out where can I gain an advantage and at what point am I at a disadvantage? And then Vapor, again, kind of going back to what you did back in game 1, saving a lot of that ammunition, waiting for the right color swap there at the end to be able to have the chain to close it out. A little bit of deja vu there.
I mean, yeah. When he switched to red, I knew it was over. The +4 gave me a yellow skip, which I used to connect into green, and a red 5, a wild, and yellow 2. So when he switched into red, I knew it was over because I could just get rid of my red 5. And I didn't sense any 4-bagger coming from him. So I knew I had the wild and I could wild into green or yellow, but he did my job for me, allowed me to finish a turn earlier. Sucks to spoil game 100 for him, but had some really nice draws in the middle of the game around the 10-15 minute mark, really getting some nice connectors going. But my starting hand was really bad. I didn't have anything to start out with. Just tried to prolong the game as much as possible and give myself a chance to succeed with the starting hand I was given.
Yeah, the ammunition has been relatively low for having a 14 and a 15 card start. We've obviously seen that in the result of the length of these first 2 games. I mean, is there a point with lengthy games like this and really having to rely, for the most part, on number efficiency, especially with these long draw cities, Vapor, that it kind of starts to get mentally taxing? How difficult is it to kind of keep your head still in the game when we end up having these long drawn out ones, especially here in the very early going of a best of 7 series? Vapor, you there? There we go.
Could you repeat the question? I was checking an
No, you're
important
good.
text.
No,
Could you repeat the question?
I was asking with the fact that really we kind of look at these 2 first combined games, and it has really come down to having to rely on the number efficiency, very low ammo to be able to work with, a number of draw cities that we've been in as well. This is only the first 2 games of a potential 7-game series. Is there a point where it starts to get mentally taxing? And how, if it's not, how do you keep yourself mentally focused in a long, drawn out game like this, especially in the early going of a series?
If I'm going to be honest, I've spent as much time scrolling Instagram this game as I have actually playing cards, just waiting for him to play. You guys know I love to play fast. It's one of the things that I do. I don't think I've had a 20-minute plus game since T4 2023 versus Clint. So this is uncharted territory for me. Really, really odd for me to play a long game like this. So I'm just trying to stay engaged, I guess. I got a short attention span, so just trying to keep myself here, keep composed. I've been a little bit frustrated, but I know that's how Hasim plays. That's one of the characteristics of his game, is playing slow and frustrating people. So just trying to keep my head a little bit.
And Asim says just how it rolls, or rather dices, giving a little Jackpot June casino pun there, and just playing the numbers. And that's what these guys have had to do really here at DJ. Very low ammunition to work with, just got to play the numbers. And I think we're gonna end up having here for game 3 onward. Maybe you have to start a little hashtag give us ammo or something. I think that's what both of these guys are gonna be chanting here going forward.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of numbers, Acosta should be able to have the jurisdiction with this being game 3, correct? So
Yes, indeed.
should be able to choose his numbers to his desire. So let's see
Everything's
what
open.
Acosta whips up.
Everything is open from 5 to 15. Acosta, what are we looking here for your first home stand here in game 3? As we wait for him to indicate what we're going to be kicking off this third game with, as he looks to at least draw close to 1, and we're going to go with 10. Vapor looking to go up 3-0, and one would have to wonder if Vapor, depending on what he gets here on the initial draw, if maybe the power play, you talked about it in the pre-game strategies here, DJ, that power play now starts to look a little bit more friendly if you're looking to maybe gain a 3-0 advantage if you're Vapor.
Yeah, and for Acosta's sake too, that power play is still another factor in there. If you feel like you need to use it, I feel this might be a pretty good time. Or if you're feeling real bad, maybe using your game 4 if you're in a real sweet spot. But right now, though, Acosta's in a pretty big hole right now. 2 games down. We've seen people come back. We'll just have to see how game 3 really transpires, more or less.
Most people like to hold on to that power play for the latter stages of a series, game 6, game 7, if it draws out that far. Most of the time, you usually see it in the game 4 to 5 region, and on occasion, I have seen a power play utilized as early as game 2, and I saw it once used in game 1. So it really just comes down to how much momentum you want to have in the early going, middle portion, or late portion of a series. There's a little double play there from Acosta. And Vapor will follow suit in red. Acosta trying to, here on this first homestand, trying to establish possession, put Vapor on the back foot to be able to draw closer here in this series, get his first win of the series.
Do you think that having a home possession plays an actual advantage?
I think it does. I think it does, especially with the fact that you've got the one card possession advantage, especially when it comes to the power play later on in a series, because I mention the word timing all the time. The timing of having a one card possession could be the difference between you being able to have a chain to the finish and somebody not being able to stop you from doing it, as opposed to maybe being back one possession and then you're playing from behind and you may have to waste a power play in order to be able to have a chain to be able to preempt somebody. So yeah, the possession actually does play a huge factor. Plus the fact too, when you've got the home game, there's a lot of people that don't like being in the upper tier. There's a lot of people that don't like being in the lower tier. And, in the case here for Acosta kind of going mid tier here, that's more than likely his comfort area. Not all that thrilled with the upper tier that Vapor went with. Now you have a chance to be able to go into your comfort zone and maybe put the person on the other side of the table in a spot that they're not all that comfortable with.
Yeah, and you noted as they've been switching colors, right? They swapped to they were blue, they were red, went to blue, went back to red. Um, like we mentioned, we heard Vapor's a very fast type of player, but Acosta is basically a foil to that. Acosta plays a little bit more slower. Vapor's faster. Like I said, opposites do they attract? I don't know. They probably do. Magnets will say otherwise. Magnets will say yes. But right now, though, Vapor is having to readjust his gameplay. Yes, he's up 2. But again, that mental turmoil could play a role. Just because you're up ahead 2, you can't get complacent, though. You still got to really put your foot on the gas.
The thing of it is, too, with the slower gameplay, and as opposed to fast gameplay, when you have the fast gameplay, you've got a plan already. You're thinking 2, 3 moves ahead if things work out. More like oil and water here. Oh, got some Wi-Fi issues apparently here for Vapor. But when you got the slower play style, then guess what happens on the other side of the table sometimes? You start second guessing yourself. Like, okay, I had this plan.
Overthink.
But maybe this might work, or maybe this might work. Should I have a contingency plan here? Yeah, you start to overthink it a little bit. So, really, when it comes down to it, Uno is a major mental game in more ways than one.
That's the beauty of it. Some people will crack under that pressure. Some will step up to the plate like that and no big deal, basically.
So we continue to run here in red. Let's see if Asim's able to get bailed out here with a light switch. He is. He does find the swap over to green with the 3.
Good call to note the light switch there, Seth, because that is going to be pretty big. Opening up a hornet's nest here to see what Vapor's got in terms of his stack of greens.
Asim still
or
with
if
the
he has any.
advantage.
Yes, he does. Has green
Does
8.
indeed. So Hasim still's got the advantage, 5-6. Now we'll try to pull away with a 4-6 if he's able to continue to run here in green. Again, feels like we're in the latter stages of this series with the length those first 2 games were, but we're only in game 3. And we saw
Feels
earlier,
like you're running a triathlon,
Yeah. And we saw earlier with the resume of these two here, career in the round of 32. Well, actually, hold that thought. A little. Is that into a draw?
Oh,
Yeah, that's leaving it open
double
on
play into a
reverse.
draw. But Vapor had the draw in turn.
Yep.
So isolated on the green here.
Well, here's the thing. Vapor may not have had to draw. He may have had a reverse.
Maybe adding more.
Doesn't want to play off of the reverse. More than
Maybe
happy
wanted to wait a
draw
little
back here.
bit. That's true. You have a good point there. Might want to wait. Maybe wanted to wait a little bit there.
Top deck looks like maybe there for Hasim, and Vapor will utilize that to bring it back over to red, which, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Hasim was iced out in.
Yep. Looks like that proved your point there, Seth, because he did have the draw just now. Double play with the skip and a red 6. Back over to Acosta's side. Does he have to draw again? Or does he have the number efficiency to switch colors?
Yeah, I'm wondering here if he... Oh, he does find the number efficiency. And I wonder if we'll
It's
see
the
another
yellow.
light switch here from Vapor, because I think...
Does he have a red 6?
Oh,
nope. Just going to roll with the yellow.
Okay. I wondered if maybe with that skip double play there, if maybe that was his last reds and he was looking for a light switch off of the 6 if Acosta had to draw back again. But they will run in yellow, at least for the time being here. But before that trips play was done there, I was going to mention the fact that the two of them, their records in the round of 32 career, both pretty close to about 500. 1-1 for Acosta, 6-7 for Vapor. So it's kind of been 50-50 for them here in this round so far, lifetime.
Oh, that shows how even they both are in this case. Why else are they the 4th and the 5th seed, essentially?
Yeah, true. Seems
very even players.
Oh,
there's an Uno right here.
He's at check with the bow tie
check.
too. What does Vapor do here? He's going to draw. He's going to bank on the fact that Hasim does not have the finishing card, which he does not.
And they're both drawing here.
That's the second time in the
Might be a draw
last
city here.
Hasim's gotten down to check, but he has not had the card to close it out. Vapor finds a top deck.
I think Acosta's got no yellow. Doesn't look good.
And Vapor finds
Blue
a bailout with that top deck. Now gets it to blue.
Is this the card? Is this the color that Acosta needs right now? He does have a blue 4.
Half off with the blue 4. Now Hasim going to try and whittle back down to check. Vapor 1 card behind him in terms of possession.
And I think Vapor knows that Acosta's very limited in the yellows.
Oh,
maybe even the reds.
He brought it back to red. The ISO is back
diabolical.
On.
Let's see. Does Acosta have an answer?
Did he
From what we saw earlier, it didn't look like he had any red or yellow. He does have a red 1, though.
Okay, so he drew back some red when he was iced out in yellow. Vapor follows suit. 2 cards each. Acosta for check. Almost get the feeling that Acosta has to close it out here. If he doesn't, Vapor may have a closeout.
I feel like all the momentum right now, so far, it's shifted for Vapor right now. Because it always seems like when Acosta's just that close to the finish line, it's just isolated or at the end, or just doesn't have that final card to wrap things up.
Down to 2 cards and no power play from Vapor. So that says to me maybe relying on numbers and number efficiency here. Might not have that action card necessary for the chain. Otherwise, I think we probably would have seen the power play this previous turn.
That and it's also only game 3, so it's also game 3 right now, and he's got a pretty good gap. So there's not really, if you're looking logically, right? You're thinking logically, you don't really need to use it right now, or like right near the end of your streak, because you can use it for like a game 4, really when you're certain to win, for like to close the series out, or just to tie it up. Let's say if you're behind.
Great point. Seem taking some time here. I would assume that since we haven't seen a play yet, doesn't have a closing play. Can he at least get it down to check is the question.
Just waiting to see what Acosta's got in store for us. Red 7 just standing there menacingly.
We know that Acosta doesn't have yellow.
And he draws.
Okay, doesn't have red either. Is this a finish for Vapor?
Yeah, both very low on cards for a reason. Let's see. Vapor could have a run here. Vapor's having to think this out a little bit. Oh, switch to blue and
Got
Uno.
the light switch he needed, so the number
This is a
efficiency
check.
worked.
But could he be in the very similar state like Acosta where he just doesn't have that final card? But a switch to blue could be an indicator, and
Ditto
Acosta's going to play it
play.
risky. He's going to play it
Ditto
risky here
play.
to
Is
see
this
if...
the color he needed? It
And
was.
that's it! Wow.
Ends with a blue +2. No power play needed. The number efficiency works once again for Vapor, able to light switch off the 7 and close it out in blue. Vapor now will head into a game 4 on the road, but looking for the 4-0 sweep. Acosta in that one just kind of seemed again like it came down to numbers. What was the when you got down there to check, what was the one card that was kind of outlined there that you just couldn't seem to get to close out the deal? Because we've seen you numerous times here in these past 3 games now be able to get down to check, and there always just seems to be that one card you're not able to find the chain to get to. And then Vapor, we were talking about, obviously we look now with the cards that you had, and using a power play wouldn't have even mattered, but if you had a possibility there of a 3-card chain to the end and needed the power play to be able to link them together, would that have been an option that you would have thought of? Actually, I don't know why I'm asking him a question. He's still definitely.
Maybe.
Now he's unmuted. So Vapor, I mean, we were talking about the fact here, kind of weighing the options of, we know now based off of the cards that we saw that a power play wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have chained those final 3 cards together. But if you had something there with those final 3 cards and the power play could have been utilized to then get you up 3-0, would that have been an option that you would have considered at that point in time? Or to DJ's point, with being up 2-0, were you just kind of maybe of the thought process of let's try and see if we can just off of number efficiency, see if we can get this 3rd game and save the power play for a kill shot later on?
I mean, yeah, the power play was in my mind when we were at when he played the blue 4. I didn't know whether to switch to red or like really what to do there, but I knew that he was iced on red earlier, and I knew that he did probably made sense for him not to have much of it and that he would draw. The +2 couldn't have given him much, right? So I played the red 4. He played the red 1. At this point, I'm sweating because he might have a +4 finish, but I played the red 7, and a year, it feels like, goes by. He draws, I get the blue 7, and he can't do anything, and the blue +2 finishes it out. So, yeah, calculated risk. Power play was in my head, but I figure it's a match point for me. So it's in my head, definitely in my head now. It's a possibility if I can get the win a little bit earlier.
Well, no surprise there, is taking a 3-0 advantage here into game 4, a must-win game for Acosta, who says he had green. Green has been quite an offender here today, DJ. He couldn't find it, nothing he could do once again. And that's kind of been the running tale here for Acosta in these 3 games. He's been the first one to get down to check. He's just not been able to find the chain necessary to get to that one outlying card. And when he finds himself boxed in that way with the drawback, that's when Vapor is able to gain the advantage.
And the fact is that the animation draws it's been with this history so far hasn't been the best. So it probably doesn't do much in his favor when he draws a card back, and then you just get literally just a number again. And sometimes it's just even the color switch is just the wrong color to choose, and that's all in hindsight, though. you know?
Absolutely. And again, just looking back at the statistics here, just the biggest thing that stands out to me, we played 3 games here so far, and we've only had 3 +4s that have been played in this one. It has been super low ammo in terms of the wild +4s. We have seen quite a number of +2s, 13 in total played there. That's where a lot of the emphasis has been in terms of the ammo cards as far as the offensive accumulation of cards would go. Well, the floor is still completely open for you, Hasim. 4th game, must win coming up here. What are we looking at here for our 4th game of the series? 1/3 of Vapor's cards played have been all switches, which is a little bit lower than I like. Yeah, I'm looking at that. What was it, 29-8 in
Yeah,
in
29
favor of
to
Vapor? Or
18.
18,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
All right, 9 card start here in a crucial game 4 if you're Hasim. For Vapor, an opportunity still with the power play in his hip pocket to be able to pick up the sweep here in the Tilt 32 in the Diamonds region.
And really, with how Vapor's been playing, adjusting to Acosta's play style, he's done a very good job. I mean, that's an statement again. I mean, bro's literally up 3 games right now. But anything can change. All it takes is 1 game for Acosta to win, and things could go upside down. But right now, though, it's all in Vapor's favor because he still has that dreaded power play that he can use at any opportune time. And right now, we're getting a color switch back to green. That's kind of been the Achilles heel, I think, for Acosta today, and even for Vapor at times. Just they just can never really find an answer for green at times.
And don't forget, folks, this is the first of 3 streams we've got going on here today. Later on tonight at 6 o'clock, Julio Cesar takes on Drip. And then 8:30, we cap off the evening back here in the Diamonds region with number 1 seed Monkey taking on number 9 seed Cody Lama. So far here in this Tilt 32, we have lost half of our number 1 seeds as Myth was eliminated by Nam, Yepes was eliminated by, I believe it was Yoshi. The only one of the number 1 seeds that is currently still in play that we know of is Pac Johnson, and then Monkey trying to stay alive here as a number 1 seed as well later on this evening. We also have a non-stream game in the Diamonds region that'll be taking place at 4:15 with G-Man, former tournament winner, taking on one of the few rookies. I believe there were 3 rookies that moved on here in this round of 32. Goldie in the number 7 seed going to be taking him on at 4:15. Vapor iced out with the play of the Blue Wild by Acosta.
See, Acosta's just going to keep rolling with them blues. He switched it for a reason, so let's see if he can get a little bit of a numbers run going on. With Vapor having a draw, though, this could be a good omen for Acosta. Might be the little stroke of luck that he's needed.
What do you think in terms of the mentality for Acosta with the power play? Is there enough desperation here where is there enough desperation here where if you have a finish with the power play to link it together that you need to use it here and now being down 3-0?
I think that'll depend on the ammunition you have on the table in general, though. If he has, let's say, some wild +4s, like good action cards, then I say that you don't have to worry about using it, though. But if it comes down to numbers again, and let's say, you're stuck on this color and those are the colors you're going to run to the end, I would say use it. It's that emergency kind of. Oh, speaking of that, that's short lived because there's a +4 right now. And I think it looks like they stick to red still.
He did.
So
he kept it in red.
Didn't change the color.
Used the +4 as a drawback. Yeah, I'd say not sure what he's got. May have been down there to have a finish. So that was a defensive play there with the +4, but keeps it in the red.
Yep, still, yeah. Vapor's definitely won that sweep. He's played really good, and Acosta, though, he's got to give a real good fight here, and he's certainly going to try here in this game 4 here. Just going to roll with the numbers again. Red 6 this time around.
It's that same for 6. Now Vapor looking to draw back even at 5 cards each. Still has it established in red. He'll put it to the 0 sugar. see what Acosta might have gotten on the return of that +4 as well. Nothing. He's iced out in the red.
Wow.
Advantage now to Vapor. How long can he run in red?
It just seems like
He'll get
Acosta
the
just
light
always
switch off the
runs
0.
dry. Just always seems to run dry at the most inopportune times, and that's when Vapor's just able to pounce. That color switch, though, Costa might have something in his ammunition, in his artillery, to see if he can maybe at least get a number down.
On the flip side, Vapor confident using that +4 to make sure that Acosta didn't have the
Nothing.
run. Iced in green as
Wow.
well. 2-color hand for Acosta.
And what do you do? What can you do? I feel, do you have to use that power play just defensively?
Might
even
have to,
most
I
of the
don't
time
know.
you use it offensively, but this might be the instance
I think we're
where
gonna
you
see it
might
here.
actually have to use it
Oh,
defensively, unless he's got maybe a +2 or a +4 in his belt.
He's still
But he
iced
would have
out
used it
in-
by now.
He's still iced out in red unless he got something on the drawback being iced
And Vapor's
in
got
green.
2 cards left.
Yeah. If
Oh, this is a
Acosta
very,
doesn't
very
play an
tricky
offensive card here, I
situation.
think we see power play on this next turn.
That's what I'm thinking. Acosta's having to think. 2 card left for Vapor, though. And we
drew
know he
back-
could have had a 3-card run, but he didn't. So we know he's probably got maybe an action card or just 2 numbers to really ice it. But we'll know. We'll have to see. We'll have to believe to see it, basically.
Unless he was holding something, he only drew back twice when he was out on green, and he was out on red before that. So there's only a 2-card chance that he would have been able to draw something, a +2 or a +4, to be able to draw Vapor back away from taking this sweep. The odds are not in favor.
It doesn't look good right now, but anything can change if Acosta has something here. He's typing. He does have
he hit
wow.
the red +2.
Good play. Kind of had
What
to do it. You
a
had to do it.
draw. If that was a draw, unless he was holding on to that, but I'm thinking that must have been a draw when he was iced out in green, and a lucky draw that was.
And he said finally
stacks it.
something. He said finally something.
Yep.
So he finally got some good draws there.
Wow, that
And
saved
that's
it.
gonna
That saved the
save-
series.
That saved it. It could prolong it. It could be just the saving grace. Could be that little gleam. Little light at the end of the tunnel that Acosta's looking for. And Vapor says he's got it locked in, as if he didn't lock into the first 3 games already.
No more time for fun and games. Oh no, now we got serious Vapor.
Got serious Vapor now.
The game face is on.
This Uno is serious business.
Vapor
Let's
looking
see.
for that sweep, and Acosta says not so fast. Now he's got the possession, 5 cards to 7. A lot of ammunition used in that play, though. So now, if you're Acosta, are you back to having to rely on number efficiency once again?
Yeah, are you isolated in set color too? That's the other thing as well. You could have just done it just to make sure that Vapor does not finish the game.
I would say with that +2, I would say that now Acosta's iced out in red, iced out in green. So I believe yellow, blue, 2-color hand here. And
Ooh,
Acosta
2
is going to
skips
bring
and a
it over to
9.
blue.
Triple play here.
If you're Vapor, you're looking to get back to green or red.
And
He'll
back to
bring it
yellow.
into yellow. Ooh, is he
Ooh.
iced out in this? Did he have all blue left? Let's see. Does he have yellow
Let's
still in
see.
reserve?
I think Acosta had blue. He's going for blues. Yeah.
Yeah,
And he had to draw.
that's all he had. He only
Great
had
play by
blue left.
Vapor. Great play to match the numbers up with that number efficiency. That's gonna stall Acosta out again. Just again, story of this series so far. Just so close. And he had to draw, but it was worth it.
Yes.
It was pretty much worth it. Worthy sacrifice. You had to draw, but you did prevent Acosta from icing that game out.
Ices Acosta out with his own card there, the yellow 9. And now we may be going into a draw city unless somebody's able to find something on the top deck.
Yeah, let's see. Acosta's taking his time. Has a top deck of a
Found a
0
yellow.
here.
That's going to be hard to swap off of, though, because I believe that
Yeah,
three of our
he had to
zeros have been
draw.
played.
Yep.
think the blue
Yeah.
0 is the only other one that's still in play right now.
Oh,
there
there it
is.
is. Speaking of, wow.
So all of them are gone.
But it's back to blue though, Seth.
Yep.
So Acosta, ooh, he's in it. I don't know. It depends. Does he only have no blue? I guess. I thought he had blue left.
I thought
Interesting.
He did too. I thought that's all he had left was blue.
Because it seemed like the vision was to go for the blue, but now Vapor's got probably a good bit of blue in him, with the blue 7, and Acosta's got nothing.
So there must have been some type
Still
of
running with the
fade there
7s
by
here.
Acosta. I have no idea what he would have.
I don't know what happened
close when he was down to 2. Then I thought it was both blues.
Yeah. Let's see. Does he have any answer for a blue? Or even just a number? No. No answer.
Iced.
Still iced. That's, again, just been the story. And Vapor now running out of answers, too, with a stalled at the blue 7 right now. And I think Acosta's probably going to draw again. Unless he's got something top deck here. Yep, there's the draw. And they're just, I might go into draw city territory. Let's just see, though. They're both evened out, equalized at 7 for the time being.
This is very confusing for me because I thought the Pandora's box was going to be blue.
That's what I thought. I thought exactly the same.
Where are we at in terms of what the color was that they both needed? I don't know.
They outplayed themselves. No, I'm kidding. But now they're just going to go into a draw city, it looks like. I think that's what their vision is right now. Just to wait and see who's going to strike first. It's going to put the bait out. Left dangling for the other opponent.
There's a lot of options there in blue still available. We've only played the 0, 2 blue 7s, 1 blue 8, and 1 blue 9. We're just looking for a top deck of something. There's a 2.
Here's a blue 2.
Can we light switch off of it is the question if you're Acosta.
I have a feeling Acosta's going to light switch it unless he draws. Then, I mean, taking his time.
Yeah, no 2s have been played yet in this game.
First one, wow.
That's the first one. So the odds are definitely in favor of a light switch here. Oh,
blue
no.
8.
Okay. So he top decked a blue as well. And
there's the color switch. There's the light switch. There it is. Green 8. Acosta might have an answer here. Let's see. Red 8.
Whoa, okay.
Oh,
crazy
okay.
8s going on here.
Crazy 8s.
Bringing it back into red. Now, we were iced out in red earlier, but that was before we had the drawing back there. So, obviously, now we can run in that color a little bit. Little double play there from Vapor.
It's got 4 cards left, though. Let's see what... I know Vapor's got that power play in mind. Pretty obvious, though. You want to finish the series out on a sweep. So that's going to be something Acosta's going to have to figure out. But there's a +2 with a 6. Let's see what ammunition Vapor's going to have in retribution thanks to that double play from Acosta.
Takes a potential power play out of the conversation, at least for the moment, with that +2 drawback.
Does this stall out Acosta at all with that color switch? We've seen time and time before, time and time again, more or less, that Acosta's just been consistently being isolated color after color in this series. It doesn't seem, because Vapor always just seems to find something out of the hat, some magic out of the hat, just great strategy to figure out, just to close it out. But right now, Acosta's having to think real hard again. Does he have anything? Does he have to draw?
Oh!
Power play. Oh, could this
with,
be a run, or is this a defensive power play?
This is with 5 cards left.
They're both with 5 cards left, though, so I'm thinking this could be a run here. I'm thinking this is a run.
The first 3 games, it was Acosta who made the color swap over into the favor of Vapor to close it out. It might be the tables turned here in Game 4 as it was the initiation to green.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
By Vapor.
And then Vapor's got a draw, so...
And there you go, and ends it out there,
there
with
it is.
The yellow one.
Yep.
So a must-win game successful there. Now a 3-1 advantage for Vapor going into Game 5. Crucial must win for Acosta. The only problem is he had to burn the power play to do so, and Vapor still will have his power play here for, if necessary, the next 3 games.
It does leave Acosta as a sitting duck, like you said, Seth, with him using that power play, but that was basically you got to crack the glass just to make sure you got that game. And so it's not a full-on dead series yet for Acosta. Things can happen for a reason, but we will have a game 5 here. Vapor still has that power play in his bank. So that's going to be, again, the big thing I think that both of us and everybody is going to make note of here coming into game 5.
Hasim, you're able to avoid the sweep there. You utilize the power play to get one of these games back. Was that basically the mentality of, if I end up losing and get swept in this series, I can't take that power play with me. Let's use it right now. Let's try and establish some momentum here as we try and mount a reverse comeback. Or a reverse sweep, I should say. And Vapor, obviously, we saw you play that +4 defensively there to make sure he didn't have a run at the end. Kind of working the colors, working the numbers there in the closing stages. Were you nearing a potential finish as well there, or was it one of those situations where, especially as you saw there with the power play and the ammunition, you were kind of fighting on the back foot at that point? Seam says, no one wants to get swept. Sucks that I had to use the power play, but it had to be done.
I think Vapor's going to type it instead of...
Okay.
So that's what it looks like right now. But yeah, no, it definitely was like a... so his computer died, so he's got to charge instead of headphones. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, so he's going to type his responses, it looks. Yeah, type the questions out. Okay.
Okay.
I'll let you do that, Seth.
Yep.
You know more than I do, so... Never mind. Oh, we chilling. Oh.
Okay, so... Are you able to...
Just gonna raw dog it.
Okay,
I'll go ask it.
So what I was asking Vapor was, we saw you play that +4 defensively, make sure that he didn't have a run to a finish, covered that contingency plan. But then a lot of the light switching there at the end again. Was there a point that you were getting to where you might have been able to complete the sweep there with a power play, or seeing the ammunition that Acosta had for the finish? Okay, so...
No.
Yeah,
Just simple no.
Nope, so okay. Ultimately
flush the power play.
Yeah, I mean, using the
May have been a loss
early.
right now, but it might be a win in the long run, essentially, is what
Right, exactly.
for Vapor's case. So
Plus the fact, consider this, Acosta gets the victory. It's on his final homestand here of the back-to-back homestands. Now, the power play is burned. Vapor still has his, and he gets his 3rd homestand here in Game 5. So, lot of advantage there for Vapor here trying to close this series out here. He'll be able to have the call and everything and have that possession advantage we talk about with the home game. Plus, he's got the power play to chain if necessary.
Low number.
Look at this. All right. Vapor wouldn't have been able to use 10, 14, or 15. He's going to go for 6.
Gonna start with the low card count, starting with a yellow 5, and Vapor's just gonna roll with it. Number-wise, that's gonna be the key right now. Just getting rid of those numbers real early on here. Crucial game for both ends. Vapor to really wrap up the series, but Hasim, or Cost in this case, to keep the game alive.
We have been really low on ammo, and this reminds me back to the series that we had with Lara and KT. And KT never was able to get ammunition, was never able to get those ammo cards necessary to be able to get the chains or to be able to establish possession. What did he do? He said, all right, if the game's not, if the bot's not giving me ammunition, let's go down to the 6-7 range here where, hey, We both don't get ammunition then, hopefully, on either side. So interesting here is we've talked about very light on ammunition, specifically those wild +4s here. And Vapor decided, you know what, let's take the ammunition factor out, not allow that to be on the other side here, and try and rely on some number efficiency.
And speaking of wild, how about a switch and a transition over to blue? Acosta using that blue wild over, and Vapor's just gonna run with it with a blue 6.
Vapor down to 4 cards. That power play looming when we start getting into this territory. I know it was only a 6-card start, so maybe not necessarily the ammunition in there for the power play to come into play just yet. Might use it as we get closer down to maybe 2 cards, but we'll see. Double play there from Acosta. We'll get the possession at least, and Vapor will look to draw even. Iced in blue.
Pretty big, though. That's a good sign for Acosta here. Does he have more blue to add? He does have a blue 3 here.
Vapor has to draw.
And
Acosta
thought there was going to be a
check.
call out. Vapor thought a call out, but Acosta did not have an Uno.
I think
So
it was a mistype.
yeah, that looks like it. Yeah, you're right.
Oh,
And
he's
there
a
it
check.
is. Ooh.
Does Vapor have an answer?
Does Vapor have a defensive option here? Does
No.
not.
Acosta has been to check 4 times. He's not been able to find the card
And he
necessary
gets
to
it
close
this
out.
time.
He closes it this time. He will
Very
draw
short,
closer.
very short game. Gotta love getting this. Oh, that's rough.
wow.
That's rough.
That's the worst thing when you end up having at least one of every color. Especially
when a
six-card
load
start.
card, especially in a low card count, it is the biggest nightmare to have.
Our first game
But this,
under 10 minutes.
ooh, yeah, only 2 minutes 18 seconds though. Only up 3-2 now, but you might have to be a little bit worried at your Vapor though. But I mean, you still have the power play though, obviously being the big thing. But that was a very short game, Seth, and Acosta finally able. And we've seen him with, this history of this series so far. Acosta's just not been able to wrap up that final card, and he finally got it this time. It's turning a little bit in the favor to at least a game 6, so Acosta's not giving up without a proper fight.
Absolutely. Short game, plan A. No drawback there. 6 cards drawn, or 6 cards given and 6 cards played there for Asim Acosta. And now the momentum shifts over in terms of the possession arrow. Now it'll be the homestand for Acosta here in game 6, trying to tie this series back up 3-3. Of course, as you said, though, Vapor's still got that power play. I don't really have any questions for either one. That was a pretty straightforward game 5. Guess the only question I have, Asim, is what are we looking for here for game 6?
And going for 7.
7 cards. So another somewhat low card start here.
Oh, wild
wow.
+4 for a start.
Look at that. We've only had a total of 4 wild +4s here in these first 5 games. The 5th one makes an appearance, but not able to really play off of it necessarily. Now the only thing that this is going to allow Asim is to basically establish what color we're going to begin with.
Oh, very much so. And the real question now, Seth, is the low card count the way to go? Is this the piece of the puzzle that Acosta's looking forward to maybe shift the momentum back into his hands?
Yeah, very well could be. I mean, you look at, he ended up going with the 9 cards on his last homestand before this one. He was able to come out victorious. Vapor decides, let's dabble in the lower card count there with 6, and Acosta's able to come out on top with that one. Back-to-back victories and card starts lower than double digits. So yeah, that might be the that might be the secret formula here if you're Acosta.
Well, let's see here. They're going to start off with blues here. Going to try and get rid of them off the bat here, all in numbers, more or less. Vapor with an 8 to follow up with Acosta's 5. And Acosta has to draw this time. Both have to draw. So very fast paced now. It's starting to be a little bit faster paced, though.
If we go back to that previous game with 6
Yeah, look at that.
draw, there were only 2 ammo cards that were played in that one, a reverse and a wild. Obviously, at this point, looks like neither one got any ammunition cards. Otherwise, we probably would have seen one played here to avoid the drawbacks.
Oh, for sure. And it looks like I think Acosta's starting to play a little bit of a faster pace too, though. So that maybe that change in pace could throw off Vapor. But again, Vapor is also a very fast player, so it's kind of going to fit Tickle's fancy, more or less, though, with it being a little bit faster pace. But now Acosta's taking his time again here, trying to think out and trying to formulate a plan on what he wants to do next.
Both looking for that top deck. Acosta
Yep, all
does
that
not
for a
find
draw.
it.
Probably searching his options there, maybe trying to think ahead. Just has to draw this time. Both of them going to go into draw city territory, looks like here. So let's see what they've got in their toolkit. Both with 9 cards right now.
Extremely early draw city here as well. Who makes the break? Because once one or the other plays that one card, either the card that allows for a light switch or a light switch itself off a top deck draw, probably going to open up the floodgates on both sides.
It most certainly will. It's just a matter of who pounces. Both are still drawing, though. I think they're just stacking it up and up and up and up. Maybe, and for all we know, maybe they just got numbers again.
Might get numbers, might have some ammunition cards if they just don't want to play right now. Holding on to them there's some of them right there.
Yeah, a couple of action cards, 2 reverses to be exact, followed up by a red 3. So they'll switch from blue to red over to a simplistic number of 3. Let's see, Vapor should have a response back, I would think. And there's another light switch over to green.
One would have to assume that blue reverse was a top deck draw. And Acosta says, all right, I'll follow you in green here. And a plus 2 there for Vapor. So now we know why he brought it over into the green, to be able to, in a sense, negate that triple play by Acosta. And now Vapor gains the possession. Can Acosta draw back even here? Not at 7 cards.
Red 4.
Can.
And Vapor has a response back. Just down a number in this case.
So Acosta brings it back to red after earlier Vapor swapped off the red to the green. So obviously both.
I think Acosta's thinking that Vapor didn't have much red. That's why he switched it over, thinking that it'd isolate Vapor. Vapor had at least a card there. So now Acosta's having to reevaluate a little bit here.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought there too, because Vapor with a red 3, if he had played that before, it would have been a ditto play off of Acosta's red 3, but instead went with the light switch. So yeah, that might potentially be his last red. We'll see. Depends on if Hasim decides to continue to run here in red, or does he initiate a light switch of his own?
Oh, he's typing a while.
Ooh.
To a blue. Ooh, I don't know. I kind of want to see how this is.
Back in that 6 card start.
And Vapor had nothing. Vapor had nothing. He had to draw.
Iced out in blue. Question is, though, is Hasim iced out as well? Because it was the double reverse from blue to red that Hasim played. No, he does have something in reserve. How about that?
A plus 2, though. That's going to give Vapor some ammunition, though. So I'm a bit worried about that call early on. But let's see how much what Vapor's got in his deck. And he's still going to roll with the blues right now. So, and Acosta had to draw.
Yep.
And so did Vapor.
Though, that plus 2 takes a potential power play out of the equation. Because you can have a path to be able to get to the end with that power play, able to link it together. As soon as you hit with the plus 2, all of a sudden you've got 2 cards that are nowhere close to linking up with the rest of what you've got.
Oh, for sure. You got to have that good synergy with your card deck.
Top deck draw there, or top deck play, should say, there with the blue 1 by Acosta. Can he build off of that with a light switch? Yes, he can.
And I'm sure Vapor's going to bite right back here with numbers here. And there's a red 7. Just like that after Acosta switched over from blue to red.
Acosta,
and I think Acosta might be going for the end result of maybe sticking to red here. If you're Vapor, what do you do here? Because Acosta's got 3 cards left, though. And a switch to yellow.
Into yellow. Interesting.
Could this stall out Acosta? And
we have not
unless
been in
Acosta has a
yellow yet.
+4.
We haven't
Unless
been
he has
in
a
yellow.
+4.
I would assume Acosta would have yellow. Oh,
He's got a skip, but he had to draw, though.
Oh, wow. Leaves it open on the skip. Does Vapor play into that, or does he just cap it off? He'll play into it.
+2 and a 2. So give Acosta some cards back.
Double
Gap down to
play.
2 cards here.
Almost
Vapor
evens
with
it back
7.
up.
Yep. Vapor with 7. Acosta's 5.
2 freshies now for Acosta. What did he get? What can he do with them? Did he at least draw back a yellow? He was iced out in yellow before. Yes, he did.
There is a yellow right there.
Vapor trips play there. Now he gains
Pretty
the
big play.
possession, and he's down to 4 as well.
Now might be a numbers game for Acosta here.
Did Acosta?
Let's see if Vapor's got anything.
Did he drop
Vapor's
2
typing a
yellows
little bit.
with a yellow +2 that he was hit
I
with?
think so. A switch to green, though. Ooh.
3 cards.
Acosta
Power
might
play
not have
still
much
there.
for this. Let's see. Taking this time. Typing it up. Green 5. Actually does
There's
have
the
an answer.
power
Power
play.
play right
I was
there. That
gonna
might do
say,
it.
Acosta had to close it out right there, else the power play I thought was going to be played, and indeed it is.
That pretty much will do it. Let's say
Yep.
otherwise, but yeah,
There
that's
it is.
it.
Went for the call out, nothing to call out. Power play, difference maker there here in game 6. Vapor's going to take the series 4-2. Had the +4 that he needed to link into the power play and closes it out in green. Vapor, congratulations on a well-earned series. Really had to work for it here, though. Those last 3 games seemed to blow by in comparison to the first 3, but Hasim was starting to mount a bit of a comeback there. How worried were you, or did having the power plays still at your beck and call, did that kind of help quell a little bit of the butterflies here as we drew closer towards the latter portion of this series?
Green 6 and a red 7 Acosta had left.
Wasn't worried.
So he
at
didn't
all.
really have much.
No. I mean, again, you know, let's see, what before the Wild were we in? We were in green. So yeah, he would have had the green 6 and still been stuck with 1 card. He would have been stuck with the red 7, which is kind of outside of what he was able to do there in that those games 5 and 6. Well, more specifically 4 and 5, I should say. More specifically game 5. He's always had just that 1 card he wasn't able to get to, and in this case it would have been the red 7. Wasn't worried at all.
Just
Knew the power play
wasn't
would
much
win it.
there.
Question was, do I go wild green 6 or just green 6? Took the chance and it paid off. Starting hand was really bad though. Well, I feel like no matter how bad a hand is with what we've seen here today, if you have a wild +4 to begin with, it's a good hand.
Yeah, I think it has like a little bit of a boost to that, more or less. But it's a matter of having to adjust. You still have to adjust your playstyle accordingly to your hand. So, and yeah, like taking those gambles, right? Whether it worked out or not. And it seemed like I said with Acosta, right? It seemed like he took some gambles, just ended up losing out on it, ended up just short. But, gave a really good fight. Just really couldn't do much at the very end of it, though. And just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. But a really, really fun matchup, though. Crazy how, like, the first 3 games, though, Seth, they were... Well, really, the first 2 in this case, right? Because they were in the 20-minute mark. Man.
We talk about
A
battle
test of
tested.
endurance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
We were battle tested, too. Everybody here was battle tested, I would say, watching the game. So, it's just how it is. And, Vapor just came up on top. So, oh, man, look at Acosta's hand for that.
Oh wow. Yeah, there's not much to work with there. There's not even a poker hand really there either. You got some 1s, some 5s, but a lot of unlinked things, and unless you have that power play, it makes it even tougher. Yeah, but without the +4, yeah, really, really tough there. And of course, one of the +4s right there on the initial start of this game. Pretty atrocious hands to start all day for both of us. Yeah, and that's a thing too, right? Like, both of these guys right out of the gate, it seemed, as we saw, especially in those first 2 games, they had to work with what they were given, but they weren't given a whole heck of a lot. If anything, the ammunition that we saw them utilize was a lot of what they had to draw back to be able to get.
Exactly. And that's just how the game of Uno is. It'll give you some good ones, it'll give you some bad ones.
Yes, it will. Well, Vapor is going to be moving on to the next round of this tournament. Who he will be facing off against will be determining that here later on tonight. We'll, in just a minute here, show you that bracket heading into this evening at 8:30. Monkey and Cody Lamas will be determining who will be facing off against Vapor here in the Diamonds region in the straight 16. And then, of course, we will be seeing also later on this afternoon at 6 o'clock, Julio Cesar versus Drip before the nightcap with Monkey and Lamas. Another battle of animals there, as a matter of fact. I think Cody was up against, I'm trying to remember exactly who it was. There was another person that had a...
Clay.
Clay, that's what it was. Yeah, Clay Wolf. So we had Wolf versus Lamas. Now we got Monkey versus Lamas there in the Diamond region. And then, of course, unstreamed game at 4:15 here in the Diamonds region with G-Man taking on Goldie. But a wild one here from the late morning now into the early afternoon. Congratulations to Vapor on the victory. A great fight put up by Hasim Acosta. And we will now wait to see who the future opponent will be for Vapor later on this evening. DJ, I appreciate joining me here on commentary. Great to call this one with you. And like you said, kind of an endurance for everybody involved, us commentators included.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously pretty rusty in commentating in general, though, but it's always an honor to, like, I'd like to do more of these. I'm probably better doing this than actually playing the damn game. Pardon my language, excuse me for that, but instead of playing the darn game, I think I'm better in the booth. I think I've realized that with a lot of things. It seems like, but no, really, it really is an honor. I hope to do more of these. And you guys have been a great audience, obviously. The games are really fun to watch in a commentator's perspective, just looking at it in a different point of view, right? Also kind of making your little, making a little hypotheses, right? On what could happen next, right? Because it's basically like a game of chess, with these opponents. And, both played really good, and whatever the next game I commentate, hopefully it's a good one too. Another good one.
Absolutely. Thanks to Yoshi for being our referee here today. Thanks to everybody that was here in our watch party as well. They watched a classic in a 4 versus 5 battle here with Vapor and Acosta here today. We'll see you guys later on this evening at 6 o'clock for Julio Cesar versus Drip, or 8:30 for Monkey versus Cody Lamas, as we continue Tilt 32 here for Jackpot June T4 of the 2025 MRE Uno Tournament. See you guys later on tonight. Thanks for tuning in to today's game.
This has been a presentation of MRE Uno Division 1.